Test, 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 test one, test two, check, 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 pulverizer, check me, check me. I got my headphones on. Let's make sure y'all can hear that. Who am I and why am I here? Call you James, what's that guy's name? The Navy guy. See, don't want to mute Mike. Check, check. Can you hear? Can you hear? Let's see. Check, 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 check. Mike, good. All right, sweet. All right, so Jamie, how about from here? Can you hear from here? This is Marie. Marie! Can you hear from here? Because I want to get in the. Let's see. I'm over here now. All right, so now I'm going to go behind Marie because the only one I trust here. I don't trust Pulverizer or Jamie. Can you hear me right now, Marie? Just say yes. It'll take a second. I'm behind the thing. If this works, that'd be great because I want to do some Dano. All right, sweet. Look at that, man. Am I getting good at technology? All right. From Delaware. I heard y'all getting freezing up there. Marie, too, in Pennsylvania. I heard it's going to be crazy cold up there. While we're waiting on, let me just erase this. Oops. I mean, I'm 360. All right, cool. Art Bell. That was thing was Art Bell 360 or something like that. All right. So who you got for the Super Bowl? 10 degrees. Burr. So you heard it here first. Chloe says it's going to be Seahawks 27-13. I don't think it's going to be 27-13. I think it's going to be a game because there's no way the NFL is going to allow a Super Bowl to be that far. It's going to be a one-score game, be it a field goal or 6 points. But the Seahawks are going to win, but it's not going to be 27-13. Of course, Chloe wouldn't know that about the score. She just says the Seahawks. But there's no way the Patriots it's going to be a 2-touchdown game. No way. Because the NFL, the refs will 13-10 Pats, says Fast Eddie. Mike says Pats. We got 2 Seahawks. Dogs. Seahawks by a field goal. That's what I think too, Mark. That's what I think too. It's going to be Seahawks by a field goal just because there's no way that the game's going to be 2-touchdown game. Unless the last play is like a pick 6 or something like that. But the NFL would never authorize that because we know it's all planned. It's all planned. And this is why I want to come down here with some guy yesterday said he liked my PVC pipe of knowledge. PVC pipe of knowledge. In fact, he's in the power transformer field. He says, I am 100% right when it comes to power transformers. Isn't that interesting? Your old buddy Josh. I'm not an engineer. I'm not in the electricity generation or electricity movement business, but I read, so I know something. He goes, yeah, you're 100% right when it comes to that, dude. We're getting smoked. The lead times are going from 12 months to 18 months to get a new power transformer. It's only getting worse. Crazy. Pass got it in 2015, not again. Go Patriots as DP trainer. Hey, right on. Hey. Is that Mike? The NFL is too woke. Yeah, 100%, dude. I just posted a video why the NFL is allowing itself to be basically destroyed. There's no other way around it. The Super Bowl, I mean, it's absolutely no reason to have Bad Bunny and Green Day. It's freaking stupid. Dan, that's what it was. Dan is right. There's just no reason other than they're trying to destroy the NFL because that's the only thing left we have for social cohesion is the Super Bowl. China's dominate transformers and all the materials to build them. I'm not sure about all the materials to build them. I think we buy a lot of our transformers, not even from China, but still, we need to make them here. We're American, man. The basement gym is back. Yeah, but there we go. This isn't the gym. This is just the I'll give you a grand tour damn near. Yeah, no, I get you, Jamie. So I'll give you the grand tour. I'm sure I've done this before. Here's where I keep all my preps right in here. All right, food preps. You see the food. We got lots of freeze-dried stuff. Even got some alcohol up here. And because I like girls and not men, I don't drink. And then we got a butane. We got some butane thing up there for the what the hell is it called? Fire starter. all the preps down there and stuff. And that's where I keep my, don't tell us, Charlotte, that's why I hold my Hershey Kisses. So that's that. I got a couple, I got some whiskey back there and some vodka. I don't even know what the hell I have because I don't drink. Then we come over here. Nice to my mom's, Josh's basement, nice to my mom's basement. Should be. Seattle to get the W, they lost. Yeah, 100%. You know Seattle's going to win. And then you can see we have beers in here, but again, because I don't like men, I don't drink the beers. My sister is in here, and her husband drank some, but I got beers down there and beers there. And then I have some Frescas, some Coke Zeros, and some Spendthrifts, or Spendthrifts, what it's called. All right. So right here is the ping pong table. That's what we use. And we come over here. That's for the kids. When I had I got one kid left, and he'll have friends down here. There's one kid left, man. So this basement has seen many parties and stuff with children. And that's where I do some videos right over there. All right. Gotta love, dude. I love Fresca, man. And then we come in here. Oh, this is where we got this thing right here, a basketball thing, like one of those basketball things. And then we come in here, and this is where it hasn't been done up. And this is just my gym, as you guys have seen a million times. And it's just my gym right there. So that's the basement. I got this rope right here. I don't use as much as I should, actually. This rope is, trust me, man. You need to get one of those other ones where you can just hang, have two things you can hang. Oh, man. See, my shoulder, though, I better not have to get another rotator cuff surgery on my other shoulder. That's for sure. Rotator cuff surgery is no joke. It sucks, dude. I'm sure I told this story, but I was putting back in 2019. That's pretty strong. I mean, I was benching, 270. I was going for my PR 275. So that's what 225 and 25s on each side. Yeah, so that's two 45-pound plates and on each side and 25s on each side. And I was trying to get 3 sets of 5. Yeah, 3 sets of 5. And I'm on my last set, reps 3, 4, and 5. So 3 I put up, and it started getting a little bit hurt on my right shoulder. Came down, so let me just get 2 more because it's a personal record. I was like stoked. Come down, the 4th one came up, and I was like, I don't think I got a 5th one. I said, got to do it. Halfway up the 5th one, it freaking just popped, dude. It freaking, my dad had rotator cuff surgery when he turned 80 and never came back the way it should have. They're nothing, but yeah, 100%. Yeah, man, you follow me on X? You need to take these idiot monitors. Stephen Hankey, yeah, belt to ass. Dude, that guy's just a clown. Hey, so right on, man. Good job. But anyway, so it's freaking pull bar has helped my shoulder. Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't done that a lot. Well, I used to. I had just got out of habit. I need to start doing that again, actually. But anyway, dude, it hurt. I mean, it was like a pot. It just hurt. I had 275 come crashing down on me. Had to roll it off me, and I'm just laying on the ground like writhing in pain. It freaking hurt, dude. That's no joke. And that was not pleasant. And then, I mean, literally the most painful experience of my life is when we went into the to get the MRI thing, and you have to, dude, because it hurt. I just, no matter what you did with it, it just was painful. And this is why I will always give up my fellow countrymen if I'm ever under torture. I'll say, dude, the minute they start poking me, I'm like, they're over there. I don't even care, because I was like sitting there in the MRI machine thing, and you gotta stay still and silent, or else they gotta do it all over again. And it was so much pain. Just I was sitting there like this for like 5 minutes. I was like, I mean, I had tears in my eyes. I do not take kindly to pain. I mean, literally, do not be my friend if the communists come, because I will narc on you. I'll say, Chris Evans, he's over there with a generator. He's got, freaking a 50 cal and 1,000 rounds. Go get him. Because dude, pain and me do not see eye to eye. That's just fact. Got to do the 5, 10, 15 workout. 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 body squats for 20 minutes straight, which all can be done in your basement gym. Super workout. You do that every day. That's pretty good, man. That's 100%. That's a great workout. 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, fit for 20 minutes. So you're just going back and forth for 20 minutes every day. I mean, that's a bitch. That's a bitch of a workout right there. When you're reading it, people are going, oh, that's easy. Trust me, that ain't easy, dude. Trust me. Just do shadow boxing. Try to do a 3-minute round of shadow boxing. You're going to be freaking wiped out nonstop. No, but you do that every day is what I'm saying. I didn't say nonstop there, guy. I said every day. Oh boy. Listening comprehension escape you, dude. Literally, try to do a 3-minute set of shadow boxing. It's tough, man. Josh wonders why I always say I'm from parts unknown. Wherever he asks where I am from, not every day is taxing. 100%. Okay, well, Don's here. Okay, we can get started then. Don finally arrived, freaking 10 minutes late. What are you on Mexican time, Don? What the hell, man? Where I always say, that's Pulverizer. Exactly. Pulverizer said, this is why I never say where I'm from because I'll narc on them. The minute they start poking me, I'll say, Pulverizer. We know you're in Jerusalem, Pulverizer. Hey, first time to catch a live stream in a while. Always going to miss it. Well, I haven't done a whole lot. I've been kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Haven't been as, what's the word I'm looking for, man? I don't know. Not dependable for the last couple. Well, first of all, I was freaking sick as a dog with monkeypox or something. The Obama pox. Just all right. I better be careful. My wife hates when I get vulgar. I think it's funny. The whole freaking thing with Obama. The whole thing cracks me up. I'm like, are we really? This is what we're all up in arms about? Is what's up north? I know you guys are getting crazy cold up there, man. Shouldn't miss anything. Takes 30 minutes for Josh to get serious. Freaking Vaughn. You're really pissing me off, Vaughn. Freaking Vaughn, dude. Vaughn, if I had you right here, I'd be like this. Blink and blink and blink. Anyway, the idea that everyone is up in arms about some stupid meme with Obamas and monkeys is so freaking stupid. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I'm like, this is what we're worried about? This? Has your snow melted yet? We don't have snow. How's my punctuation? Apparently you were late too there, buddy. How dare you? But my wife says that Trump should apologize for it. And my wife's pretty right wing. I said, really? I said, really? You really? I mean, just because the Democrats are offended, are we always going to have to do this every time they're offended? She goes, I'm offended. I said, really? She goes, you shouldn't. I said, okay. Well, George and York PA is here, so I guess that's all we've all been waiting for. Just a bunch of dudes other than Marie. So we're again going back to where we are. We got 3 people on X, 11 people on my Josh Scanlon YouTube channel, 60 people on Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, and 1 on Facebook. So again, if your comments come through here on all those platforms, am I not on LinkedIn again? I thought I connected on LinkedIn. Okay, maybe not. Strange. Anyway, so if you're on most of the comments, I even liked your video as well. You should, Don. Most of the people are commenting on the Josh Scanlon the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. What's the purple crowns? I don't know what that is. So anyway, if you're wondering why you're not seeing any comments or anything like that, it's because the majority of the people, vast majority, are on the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. He took it down, didn't want to offend them. I just like, come on, people. I mean, we had. I'm not going to say. The whole thing's so stupid. We literally have in Atlanta a young baby got killed because of drive-by shooting, and we're worried about the whole thing's so freaking. People making the most comments get purple crowns. I didn't even know that. For real? Crowns are for comments that run their mouth, for people that run their mouths. Yeah. All right. So let's, if that's all right with Vaughn, start with the topic at hand, which I want to run some. How has my name, then this purple crown thing, then my comment? Yeah. All right. I don't know. I guess that's because you run your mouth, Vaughn. What's going on in Ohio, man? You guys getting cold up there too? I know it's supposed to be freezing cold in Maine and Massachusetts. I'm number 1. Does it actually say that on there someplace? You're number 1 with the. Yeah, so I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing with purple crowns and was it gonna be like the freaking red clovers, purple diamonds? What was it? Freaking what the hell's that? The Irish guy, the Irish cereal. red clovers, purple diamonds, green elephants, something like that. 20 below. YouTube's trying to get more engagement. Dude, what the hell, man? Yeah, Lucky Charms. It's like Lucky Charms, purple clowns, red clovers, purple diamonds. 20 below, man. That's freaking cold, dude. Southern Ohio is a cold but not horrible. All right. We're not. We had sun out today. A little bit chilly in the wind, but Lucky Charms, magically delicious. You're magically delicious. I was able to grill. It was good. No snow, no ice, nothing. Living in the South has its advantages. I think it's gonna be sunny this whole week, like 55 degrees and stuff. So I'll be able to get my pale skin, maybe a little bit color in there. So Marie can say, at least you don't have to wear makeup. You can take the makeup. Oh, it wasn't Marie. Someone else talked about my pearly white, pearly yellows the other day on my Facebook page. So I posted this thing when I was in the Army. I said, damn, my teeth were freaking white. A brisk 18 degrees in Chicago, says Faith. Well, Faith, good to have you on board. I like having more ladies here. Out digging by Six Flags today. Digging what, cars out? Not Six Flags over Georgia. I don't think that place is open. All right, so let's go on this. So I wanted to show, last couple of days I was dealing with some clients. Meta. I guess it makes you ripe. Oh, yeah. CY relics. CW relics. I love watching people dig their cars out in New York City. Still remember XOM call years ago. What's the best recommendation now? Oh man, crowns and back of car windows were the thing of the day. Yeah, I don't have any recommendations, man. If I make a recommendation, it'll turn to crap. A civil war. Oh yeah, okay, gotcha. It'll turn to crap in 2 seconds. All right. So actually, I'm going to show you. Can I show? Actually, I can show you. So basically, what we have, and if you guys lose, audio, let me know. So we got a couple of things here. We have. All right, so this is 24% tax bracket, this is 12, and this is 10. So in Right Capital, what it will do is it'll put, this is the brackets, the top of the marginal tax brackets. And in Right Capital, it'll show you your taxable, your AGI and where you are. So the last couple of days, I had a couple of people that, this guy was like right here, and then he went right up here. He was like riding it, and then he went over it a little bit at 75 years old. Right. So again, this is the top of the 10% tax bracket. All right. And then he was like kind of like that again, kind of riding it along. And then when he died, we'll just say 85. Let's put 85 right here. It went up right here. All right. So he was riding along the 10%, the top of the 10% tax bracket, which meant in this case, he's in the 12% marginal tax bracket, but he's still real close to the top of the 10% bracket, if that makes sense. All right. Now, when he dies, now his wife is basically puts her up to the top of the 12% tax bracket. All right. Everybody with me on it so far? So he's down here with no taxes between 60 and basically 67. All right, so right here, he retires at 60. He's living off his cash, living off his brokerage account. So there's no tax bracket here. He's ride or die at the top of the 10% tax bracket. Then he dies. His wife is now in the 12% tax bracket. So a lot of people would say, shouldn't he do Roth conversions here? Basically fill this up and then hopefully drop this down. All right. That would make sense. Absolutely, that makes sense. Except for one thing. Why would you? Can you all see that by the way? Can you see why he should not do that? Because again, he's in the bottom right here. Basically, no taxes because he just lived off his brokerage account as cash. His age, okay, but tell me more about his age. 8 at 100%. Look at George, your PA for once showing up. All right, exactly right, exactly. So in this case, we're like, well, if you do the Roth conversions, you're going to lose your Obamacare premium credits. And so basically, we don't want to do that here. We don't want to do any Roth conversions here because you're going to lose your Obamacare premium credits, and your Obamacare premium credits are certainly more valuable than 30 years from now, probably 25 to 30 years from now, having your wife pay a little bit more in tax. That doesn't make sense. So we did not do that. So then the next question is, should he do them here? What do you all think? What do you, so now he's on Medicare. At 67, when his Social Security kicks in, he does have the tax torpedo a little bit. I mean, it's still he's at 10% bracket, not that big of a deal. But should he do Roth conversions here? Let's see what you guys say. 16,000 a year. 100% Vaughn. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing Roth conversions here either, because why pay? See, his wife is already going to be in a 12% tax bracket. So why pay 12% today to avoid 12% in the future when your wife, even if she survives that long, is 85 years old? So I don't. When you're riding this tax bracket right here, I don't think it makes any sense to do Roth conversions whatsoever. Now, I mean, would I yell at him if he did? No, I don't see a huge benefit of doing that. No, I mean, yeah, like I said, my man here was saying he would still do it as long as he's under the IRMA limit. I wouldn't. I would not do that there, just because why? Again, the point being is you're paying 12% to avoid 12%, and 12% or a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. I wouldn't do it, but look, I did it. The ACA credits are worth more than the 20 years of tax-free gains. Well, yeah, absolutely, because if you have the ACA credits of $15,000, right? That's $15,000 that could still be in your account growing. That you have to pay tax on right here, but it's still growing. If you got to pay the ACA credits, that money's gone. So 12% now is better than passing on to the kids, because who knows what the tax rate will be. Maybe. That'd be a reason to do it unequivocally. That'd say, hey, look, I'd rather pay 12%. I mean, that's if we had to make a case, it would be for the beneficiaries. You say, hey, I want to make sure my kids, I'll pay $12,000 on a $100,000 Roth conversion just for simplicity, to make sure my kids don't get hit with a 24% tax on the $100,000. That would be the case. Or when Congress raises taxes, I would just go back to the Walter Mondale, the speech he gave at the Democratic National Committee in 1984. We both know we're both going to raise your taxes. The difference is he won't tell you, I just did. And they panned on their Democrats, and they're like, yay? Held up signs, yay? You should watch the Walter Mondale speech when he said that. We're both going to raise your taxes. The difference is he won't tell you, I just did. And I'm just telling you, man, they look and you see these Democrats like, yay, Mondale. And then Mondale went on to lose every single state except his home of Minnesota. And even then, he only won by 5,000 votes. Anyway, so in this case, for your kids, that's a different story. You can make an argument, hey, I want to do it to leave my kids some money. I got no quarrel with that. But at the end of the day, is that what's driving the bus here? If that's not what's driving the bus here, then I wouldn't do it. On top of that, don't forget, you still need money to live on. This is one of the things I always tell people too, is like when we're doing Roth conversions, like right here, for instance, let's just say he was on TRICARE. He didn't need Obamacare, or maybe he was on, municipal or the county or something like that. You can still do Roth conversions here too. Don't get me wrong, nothing inherently wrong with doing that, but you still need money to live on. So a lot of people might overlook the fact they still got to take distributions from their portfolio to live on. So in this case, instead of doing Roth conversions, you might say, hey, I'm just going to pull that money out of my portfolio to live on and bypass doing Roth conversions. Because a lot of times we don't want to take money out to live on plus do Roth conversions, because that's going to put us in a 12% tax bracket. And again, we're talking pretty minimal taxes to begin with. All right, so that's that guy. Let's go into the next guy's dealing with. Similar scenario, except this guy is up here. All right, so he's riding that 12%. Now he's in the 12% tax bracket. He's riding it. Oh, this is 22, not 24. All right, so he's riding that 12% tax bracket. in almost the exact same scenario. He dies, and his wife is now up here, all right? Now he's got a little bit of space right in here. A couple times he goes a little bit over it, whatever, but you get the gist. Where can you draw money from to do Roth conversions? And there's a minimum age you can do it. There's no minimum age you can do it. No, you don't even have to have earned income. Where can you draw money from to do Roth? Well, you do it from a pre-taxed account to move that money into the Roth. So there's no penalty or anything like that, Don. So you got money in IRA or 401k or 403b, you can just do those Roth conversions if you want, regardless of age, regardless, it doesn't matter. Regardless of you're under age of 59 and a half. If it's a bank, you can't do Roth conversions from a non-IRA. So if the bank account is like just a regular bank account, those aren't eligible for Roth conversions. It has to be a pre-tax account like an IRA or 401k. Yeah, low. Laughing at you says pre-tax retirement accounts, 100%. That's some place called Brugge, whatever the hell that is. A stupid place in Europe. Europe, dude. Europe, stupid. But my tea tastes are good. All right. So in this case, so he's like, man, I'm dead. My wife's taxes go up. In this case, her taxes and her tax percentages went up too. Should we do Roth conversions here? We got 60% of my retirement accounts in Roth. Instead of Roth conversion, what about dealing with the RMD? Just stick with the unneeded withdrawals or brokerage account. Yeah, that's 100%. A lot of times that's the way to go, unequivocally. All right, so here we see he's riding that 12%. He dies. Now she's not quite at the 22%, but she's definitely in the 22%. Not quite at the top of the 12%. I should say the top. It's not quite right there, if that makes sense. She's well beyond the 12%. She's almost at the top of the 22%. All right. So should we do Roth conversions here? Right here. That's right. Instead of Roth, we talk about that. I'm good. Yeah, talk about that. Burgess in Belgium. Of course, Chris knows that. Chris, all tan, freaking salt, pepper beard. Why should Don? Why should he not do Roth conversions there? You think? So remember, she's going to be in a higher tax bracket than they're in right now. So why should he not do Roth conversions to equalize this? You think? Let's see what you guys think. PVC type of knowledge. The PVC type of knowledge. The Patriots aren't going to win, but I wish they would. And everyone's getting mad at Mike Vrabel. Actually, I think my son was saying he thinks because he's dead and doesn't care anymore. Well, but he's got a wife, unlike you, pulverizer. Pay later, better. My man Vaughn says take out chunks, then put in a broke channel. Yeah, but why not just do the Roth at that stage? But I hear what you're saying, Vaughn. Well, here's why. Is because the same scenario here is that if he does Roth conversions here, it's going to put him in the 22% bracket. I mean, so again, we're going to put him into the 22% bracket to avoid a 22% bracket 10, 15, 20 years from now. That doesn't make any sense, depending on the portfolio. So, I mean, I wouldn't do that here either. Why give yourself an immediate tax increase? I think that's like 65% or something like that to avoid 22% 10, 15, 20 years down. Now, again, if we got kids, that's one thing, absolutely. If you really think Congress is going to raise taxes in the future, that's another thing, unequivocally. This tax thing is pure speculation. The kids thing, I get that. That makes sense. You're like, I really want to leave tax-free money to my kids. I unequivocally get it. Instead of doing that, I might just take a distribution. I'll just give the money to your kids now anyway. Now I'm saying, hey, I can help them buy a house or something like that. Now, with that said, we don't want you to violate your own retirement validity by doing that. So that would be a reason to do a Roth conversion. So I'm doing a Roth conversion. So I want my kids to get the money tax-free, but only after I have secured my own retirement. I don't want to give the money to the kids and 15 years later have to go back to them. It's going to be a fruity Super Bowl. I think I was an adjunct professor at TC for one semester at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. I did the CFP course for a lot of Dominion Resources executives. and the guy I was subbing for a guy got ill or something like that. And I thought I'd get another semester. I didn't know if I wanted to do it again. It was a pain in the ass, dude. I had to go down there twice a week from Harrisonburg, Virginia. It's like a 2 hour each way drive, maybe an hour and a half to Richmond. And they gave me like $5,000. And then we were broke, dude. We were broke back then. It was in 2006, seven, maybe. I can't remember. We were just, I said, I'll do anything, dude. I'll hook up with some guys behind the dumpster if I need to. I'll do whatever it takes to put food on the table. We were hurt for money. So that 5,000 came in. I think that's the same year that Bush had his surplus revenue or tax refund or something, whatever it was. And people were all up in arms. There shouldn't be this. It's going to make the deficit greater. I said, dude, I need that money. You know what I'm saying? I think I did. Maybe that's four kids by then. I don't think we had four. But I had two, maybe three. I can't remember. But I just remember we were hurt for certain. And I said, man, that Bush tax refund thing or whatever the hell it was, $150 per person. We need that money, man. That's when I started slowly falling off this monetarist economic train, as if deficits are the worst thing that ever happened when people are hurting financially. Because that money came in. I think we got 600. Yeah, we only had two kids. It must have been 2006 because I got $600, and we need that money. That's just fact. And then I got $5,000 for going to VCU. And when that gave up, that's when I went to R.R. Donnelly working part time in a bookbinding plant. And that friggin' sucked, you know what I'm saying? And then when my boss, I was a branch manager at a bank, and he didn't like his branch manager also working in a manufacturing plant or whatever it is. And so basically he wasn't too kind on that. So I stopped that, and then Charlotte went to work as a part-time teller at Bank of America. And it's you do what you gotta do, man. This what one of the things that pisses me off is like, yeah, oh, you boomer. I freaking hate that crap. The idea that boomers were just given this freaking silver spoon, that nothing ticks me off more. Like, it drives me insane. That doesn't mean boomers had it, or kids today have it easy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at least. I'm just saying this whole thing like, boomers. I just what the, do you not know any boomers? Do you not know what they went through? They couldn't find jobs. You freaking morons. There was no work out there. It's crazy to me. I'm sitting there thinking a boomer would don't even get me started. Never mind freaking meat was a luxury as opposed to now. You know, so there's no fast food back then. And you might say fast food's junk, okay, but I mean it's there. We didn't have it really growing up. And I'm not the only one. You said, well, you're from Maine, Josh. I lived on an island in Maine. I lived on an island in Maine my whole life. I'll tell you that right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, we just went. I took Liam to get his blood work today, and he wanted a Baconator. So I took him out to Wendy's to get a Baconator, and nothing wouldn't that happen with us back then. You know what I'm saying? No one did that. And then Wendy's has now hiring these. The place where he's get his blood work, whatever it's called, Quest or whatever. They're hiring. Everybody's hiring. There are a crap ton of boomers that aren't sitting around eating a bomb. 100%, dude. It's crazy. We're poor. Yeah, exactly. Higher deficit does not equal higher. Oh, how dare you say that, Wellington? Don't you know? Son just got $1,000 for having his son born on the Trump. I gotta do a video on this Trump account. So I love it, dude. I think that's a huge thing. Wait, someone said something. Time for more 2,000K stimulus checks. 100%, dude. Deficits are good for banks as well as corporations. May as well throw a bit at the citizenry. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think there's some legitimacy to your take, Jamie, about the first comers, the banks and everything getting it. I do think that's not a bad proposition, actually. The deficits grow the asset base, and the people who benefit mostly are the banks, the financial concerns. I don't disagree with that. As we can see in the United States, the people who own the assets are the beneficiaries of the mass government debt and deficits that led to that. No, I don't think anyone could really argue that. Is that necessarily a bad thing, though? I don't think so. I think that what's even worse, though, is maybe some of the laws that were passed to make it less tax on capital and more tax on labor. And when I say more tax on labor, I'm not saying morally raise tax on work. They certainly did not. But relative to overall taxation base, capital is taxed less than labor. And I think at some point when you see it, you're like, that's a problem. We need to raise tax on capital and have less tax on labor because taxes, what they do, they create a disincentive for people to earn the things taxed. In that case, is labor. And labor is moral. We want people to work. Labor is biblical. You don't work, you don't eat. Labor is a good thing for people to do. We don't want them sitting on EBT cards. We want them to work. And as such, you reward work with less taxation on their labor. Now, with that said, a lot of labor isn't paying income tax. They're still paying Social Security at 7.65. I mean, that's one thing that drives you crazy. The top 0.01 is paying whatever amount of the income tax. I get that. But you factor in, when you actually factor in FICA as well, it's not quite as widespread as what they're making it seem. I mean, it's legit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the top 0.01% don't pay most of the time. I'm not saying that at all, or the top 1%. At the end of the day, they've shifted the burden, but the aggregate taxation, more is being taxed on labor than is on capital. And it's one thing if that capital does float its way downstream to increase the labor, it just hasn't happened very much. It hasn't. I mean, the median real wage has only grown by like 35 basis points that's over inflation since 1979. So it just hasn't been this massive increase in working salaries relative to the massive increase in capital accumulation. There hasn't been. And it is what it is, man. But I think these right-wing economists who just want to have no tax on capital and just make it all tax on labor, I don't like it. I think it's bad. And the same people are so worried about the deficits as they benefited from the deficits. That's what pisses me off too. Like, you benefited from the deficits. The capital appreciation has been partly due to the deficit increases. I mean, it's fact. And obviously, on top of stock buybacks, qualified dividends being taxed much more favorably, long-term capital gains being taxed much more favorably, lower taxes, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you benefited from the deficits. Labor hasn't benefited from the deficits as much, just not as much, not even close. And as such, I think we probably need to have a little bit of a transitioning of that in terms of taxation being a little bit less burden on the labor, especially if you want people to be popping out babies, and I do. And we need to have people having children. And one thing is that they're not going to have children is until they have a household formation, which is buying a house and finding a wife and getting married. And so we have this 20 something group of people. It's, that's, I don't have any problem them waiting until they're 30 to get married. That doesn't bother me in the least. I mean, I was 30 when I got married, but I need to wait till I was 30. I was 29 before I got married, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, young men are just not mature enough really at 21 or 22 to be married and having kids. They just aren't. So wait till they're 28, 29. I have no problem with that. But all right, at 28, 29, are households being formed? No, they're just not to the extent that we probably should be. And as such, we really need to have some kind of economic plan to address the issue. And frankly, it's one of those things you don't just want to start giving people like Kamala said, I get her thing, $50,000 for down payment. That's just going to increase the price of the house, obviously. You don't want to do that, but at the same time, you got to have some kind of scenario where we reward labor and we reward people for having babies. I don't have all the answers, but we're seeing prices coming down on homes now. I saw some guy post today on X. I was like, damn, he's like the condos in Florida. He was posting this one. I forgot where it was. And if y'all live down there, he had a condo that was, according to Zillow, that was priced at like $1 million in 2022. Now it's down to 250. I was like, damn. I don't know what that's about, but that was crazy. Hey, look at my man, Jeremy. Thanks, Jeremy. Say no to income tax. I would say no to income tax if we could make up the difference with tax on capital gains or tax on qualified dividends, or just a tax on net worth. Crazy. Something. I mean, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But if we want more labor, you got to reduce the cost to be a labor. That's just a fact. Let's see. Is there a 0% balance to hit is there a percentage balance to hit Roth versus when is enough conversions enough? Yeah, there's no answer for that, man. I mean, so for me, can the government send a household an ounce of gold? It'll probably get stolen in the mail, so probably not. Yeah, so all my money's in Roth now. All right, so I paid a crap load of tax over the last. I mean, that's done. So basically, in 2020, I've said the story a million times, but I was doing I was taking a walk during the mix of the pandemic, and you should have saw some of my comments. People were pissed I was outside without a mask on my comments. It's like I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. It's people who should have. That was weird, man. And I was just like, you're really mad that I'm out here taking a walk without a mask on, outside, catching the sun and the fresh air. I said, you guys are crazy. But anyway, so I did a video because the market had fallen, what, 33 or 35% or something like that, 33 days. So I did a video on that. I said, now's the time to do some Roth conversions. And a number of people did them, and they told me about it and how much money they made. And of course, like an idiot, I didn't take my own advice. So after that, the next year, I had one guy email me, said, Josh, you know I'm up $200,000. I was like, yeah, great, because I didn't do anything. So next year, I said, okay, from 2021, 2022, and 2023, maybe it's 2022, 23, 24. I can't remember. But in 2021, 2022, 2023, I said I'm doing a third, or something like that to my Roth. I can't remember how much it was. But I did some serious money into my Roth. And in 2022 or 2023, I made a crap load of money, dude. I mean, I don't know what happened, but I was making, I was taking a leak and money was coming out. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. I was like, where is it? I was nuts. One of those years I made a crap load. I'm still making good money, but not anything like then. I was like, I don't know what was going on. It was nuts. And so I did that Roth conversion. I got taxed at the 35 or 37% for that 1 year. And that kind of sucked. You know, in hindsight, I probably should have done it, but you know, it's water on the bridge now. I mean, that's another thing. One of the reasons why these don't make a lot of sense, because this guy's retired, right? So he's living off this money now, and you know, like I always say, you pay the taxes when you have the income to pay the tax. So if you got the income coming in, like that, whatever that year was, where I had the crap load of income, where it's 37% bracket or whatever it was. Don't quote me on. I think it might have been the 37% bracket. I mean, it's crazy how much money I made. And it wasn't $1 million. I mean, it wasn't within spit distance of $1 million, but whatever the 37% bracket, I think I made it that 1 year. It's nuts. Anyway, so if I did, for simplicity, $100,000 of Roth, it cost me $37,000 to do, plus 5% to Brian Kemp, the election thief. So I lost $42,000 on that. And you know, in hindsight, it'd be like, oh man, I should not pay that, but I had the money to pay it. Does that make sense? So I had the money, and I'm not sure I'll ever have that money again. I don't think I'll ever get that kind of income again. But I mean, I had the money because I had money coming in. Like I said, like it was crazy how much it was coming. It was coming in, going out. But with that said, I said, okay, I'm going to do it while the money's coming in. Even though if I would have waited, I could have paid at a lower tax base. But even my income now is still pretty good. And as such, it's like, well, I could have waited and saved myself some lower taxes. But a couple of things in that regard. Turns out I did it at a most opportune time because the market was very good to me. But part two of that is you don't know what your income's going to be. This is one of the things about doing Roth conversions in retirement. This is kind of nerve wracking. Is you were going to lose this money. So if you do a $100,000 Roth conversion here, you're going to lose $22,000 that you can't get back. There's no recharacterization like we used to be able to do 10 years ago. Those don't work anymore. So that money's gone. And if it turns out later that the market takes a dump, or your wife leaves you and takes half your assets or something, that's $22,000 you'd never have again, that you might have paid tax at 10%, if even that, later on in the future. You see what I'm saying? That's what makes it different. You paid the tax when you got the income to pay, because when you're living off your portfolio and Social Security, you might not ever have the income to pay. It might be gone. And as such, one of your biggest bills is still going to be the tax. That's just all there is to it. So anyway, that's one of the things I don't like about waiting till I'm retired to do the Roth conversions, even if it means I pay a lower tax bracket. Man, I don't think there's a percentage, man. I just think for me, it's like I just have everything in Roth. So I know for a fact when I retire, I'll be living off, we'll do a reverse mortgage on whatever house we're in. Probably won't be this one. We're going to have my Social Security between my wife and I. And that's probably my full retirement age is 3,800, 67. So she'll get 1,900. It will, just for simplicity, says, you know, roughly 6,000, 70,000 a year, plus whatever my Roth has grown to, all tax free, plus the reverse mortgage. Or if I just sell my house outright and just take the equity off this, it's all tax free. So for simplicity, let's say I'm living off $500,000 in a Roth, $500,000 in this house, and then $70,000 a year in Social Security with no debt. That's all tax free, man. You can't beat that. So that's kind of what my goal was. Jamie says, you need to do a segment on Friedman, the Powell memo, Citizens United, and NAFTA. Those are stepping stones where we are today. Well, I know what Citizens United is. I know what NAFTA is. I'm assuming the Powell memo is the yellow cake thing, the UN, Milton Friedman. Yeah, I got a signed book by Milton. I like Milton Friedman. I just think the idea of, like I did a post today of inflation is always looked at as, what is it? What do they call it? M2, well, money supply plus velocity or times velocity equals prices and output. That's what it is. That's what, yeah. So they always talk about the amount of money in circulation, what we call M2, the velocity of money, how much money changes hands equals prices, inflation, if you will, by output. But this is the key. The output's the key. If we, this was just, this is where the freaking economists just freaking stupid. Output, what we produce. The biggest thing we produce in America now, our exports, are services, not goods, services. Showing companies how to do financial freaking arbitrage, showing companies how to do insurance setting. I mean, this is paper pushing stuff, man. The services. Yes, we export a hell of a lot of energy stuff. I grant you, that's great. Thanks to the guy Steinsberger. So not George Mitchell. George Mitchell was legendary, but the guy who actually founded the fracking methodology through serendipity. You should read up on it. I think his name's Neil Steinsberger, if memory serves. But anyway, that guy's a legend. And George Mitchell got wealthy beyond wildest dreams. Well, Steinsberger did not, by the way. In fact, it was Steinsberger's brother who came up with the idea, who took it to Steinsberger, who basically did it in a lab through serendipity. And his brother came up with this through serendipity. And then Steinsberger took it, ran the lab, said, this is going to work. And they took it to George Mitchell, and George Mitchell financed it. So we need capital. We can't be anti-capitalist, because if we didn't have capital to run the experiments and to go out there and risk money to do fracking experiments, there would be no abundance of natural gas. So all these anti-capital people are idiotic. You can't be anti-capital. That's just stupid. You need capital to invest and take risks. If the government is the sole source of capital, they're going to invest and take risks depending on whatever is politically feasible. And it's not politically feasible to go and do hydraulic fracturing because no one had done it before successfully. And the government's not going to throw money at a project that's not in demand by the politics at the hand, in terms of, we want you to use our tax dollars to go and do hydraulic fracturing experiments. No one's going to say that. And so the politicians are going to do that, especially when you got Al Gore over here talking about freaking green stuff. So no one's going to finance a hydraulic fracturing experiment in the Permian Basin. They're not going to do it. But George Mitchell did with his capital. He's willing to put his own money at risk. This is why the anti-capitalists drive me crazy. And I'm not a pro-capitalist in the way the Rockefellers control everything. I'll just tell you right now, not in the least. I'm a pro-artisan, and I'm a pro-capitalism where there are some capitalists who have money to invest in risky technologies, 100%. But they need to be, and somewhat, have to pay more for the government having to say, hey, you guys have had a freaking awesome time over the last 50 years. We just need to turn this ship around a little bit and put more of the burden on you and less on labor. But anyway, so what they always forget, output, services and goods. Services and goods. That's the two things. All right, we've got manufacturing, good producing. Just doesn't have to all be manufacturing, but it's goods. And we have services. The U.S. has massive trade deficits in goods, meaning we import stuff all the time, products that are manufactured overseas, and yet we're exporting what? We're exporting our technical knowledge, software. Oh, wow, software, that's great. All right, but guess what? Software and technology doesn't freaking turn the lights on. You know what turned the lights on? Large power transformers. That's what turns the lights on to downvolt your electricity coming to your house from the generation plant. The transformer transforms it to lower the volts. And guess what? Who makes the transformers? Oh, we don't. I just talked. This guy right here, we talked about initially. He works in that industry. He told me, good, you're spot on. He just told me this yesterday. He goes, man, you're spot on. We don't produce any of our own transformers. And now the lead time has gone from 12 to 18 months. He's worried about getting worse. That's not good. I wonder if we could make steel in America. Oh, yeah, we could. Could it be a little bit more expensive? because it's made by American labor who demands a higher wage than some guy in the Philippines? Yeah, it will be. Oh my God, that's inefficient. That's bad. That's bad because I'll make prices go up. This is what the freaking libertarians argue. They say, oh, if you have what do they say? If you have to pay higher prices through, I mean, if you have to have a labor, essentially, if you have more, you have less labor, all right? So we're going to reduce the reliance on Philippine labor, all right, or China labor. We're going to make it more here. So there's less workers, less of supply, which does what? The price. It makes it go up. So not only are we going to have less of supply, we're going to have an increase in demand because we want more and more transformers. We'll probably have a huge increase, but be that as it may. We'll just say the demand stays flat. Supply of the labor goes up, right? The supply of the labor goes down, which means P has to go up. And everyone's going to say, but that's inflationary. But what does that do to Y? Why is Y always excluded this calculation? It makes it, the Y will make it go up. We're having more output, which goes up, which can accommodate an increase in prices. Because if you have one thing going up by 1, but another thing going up by 2, as a percentage, the thing that went up by 1 has gone down because you have 2 now that you only had 0 before. And it's crazy. Anyway, so these guys always say M2, monetary supply, plus the change in the hands of money, prices and output always overlooked. You're like, dude, if we increase our output, this is almost secondary, because if we have less supply of labor and our labor is making more product, even if it costs more, we'll have more output. More output leads to what? More profits, better country, better security. Without having, by the way, this is what always gets overlooked too. How much does it cost to ship a product from overseas? That's freaking expensive. Anyway, drives me insane. And yet the libertarians are like, no, that's not efficient. Philippines does it more efficiently because their labor supply is so abundant. Okay, that's it? Abundant labor supply? Well, what does that mean? Well, cheap. Oh, so efficiency is by how much it costs to do it. Gotcha. So if it costs more, that means it's less efficient. Yeah, that's bad. Oh, so it's better for us to supply them with technical expertise on software, on intellectual property rights, on insurance products. Idiots, dude. The libertarians are such a joke. Yeah, it is getting to work out. Freaking nuts. So someone said, great point. We can't use the Venezuelan oil. This high sulfur oil not compatible with salt storage system would destroy it. I didn't know that, but it's interesting. I figured if anyone knows about that, would be Andrew. Let's see. All right, so let's talk about money velocity is nonsense. It's an old-time monetarist thought, 100%, and it's just 100%. In fact, if you actually, it's the funniest thing too, because if you look at the velocity of money since basically the end of Clinton, it's gone down. It's just gone down, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's just gone down like a girl on Epstein Island with Bill Clinton. Just gone down. And it's just, and there's no economics predicted that. And so the velocity of money is dropping like Bill Clinton's pants. The monetary supply was increasing like Jeffrey Epstein's client list. And yet inflation did not kick in. It's just the whole thing so freaking dumb. I'm like, dude, I used to buy all this stuff. I used to buy into it. I went to George Mason University, economics department, for heaven's sake. I bought it all, hook, line, and sinker. Oh, print money, government machine goes burr, inflation. Okay, explain that then. How come it hasn't happened? And some guy's just trying to argue me on X yesterday or today. Well, debt to GDP. He fell right in my trap because I was, look, I'm not new to this. He goes, because Steve Hanke, this guy from Johns Hopkins, I don't know if he still writes for Forbes or not. I used to read him when I had a subscription to Forbes back in the 90s and 2000. I always liked him the way he wrote because, he was a kind of a right-wing, well, at least a libertarian economist. And he's using this argument that, what did he say? Inflation killed jobs, or I forgot what it was. He said something stupid. I said, oh, that's interesting. What is, that's what it was. The European, the EU, they've reduced their monetary supply. I forgot what he said. It's dropped. And lo and behold, inflation has dropped too, i.e. money supply causes inflation. I'm like, dude, this is like a well-known academic guy from Johns Hopkins, and I'm like, money supply causes inflation. Going back to this right here, it's mind-bogglingly stupid. It is. I said, well, isn't that weird? Because let's look at output. And again, I hate to even use output for the United States because most of our output is based on services, not goods. Again, we do export some stuff, weapons, airplanes, lots of energy. But at the end of the day, most of our output is on services. We're importing goods, and that's not good. The way it's completely, it's talk about a K-shaped economy. Anyway, but either way, our output, the United States output, dwarfs that of the EU, 75% above that in 2025. Our inflation was just a fraction higher. Somebody sitting there thinking our unemployment is well below that of the EU. So Steve Hanke is going to argue the reason their inflation is lower than ours is because they reduced the monetary supply. And we did too, as a matter of fact. But it's like, oh, well, we did in 2025, but we have since 2022. I was like, but that's just dumb. I mean, it's just dumb because maybe the reason our inflation is higher is because of a more expanding economy. I mean, the EU unemployment is over 6, and that's considered low for them. All right. And I'm just sitting there thinking their unemployment is well above ours. Their output, their GDP is well below ours. And you're harking on their inflation is lower? Yeah, well, guess who else has a low inflation? Japan. And they have no job growth. They have no economic output by and large. You know what I'm saying? They might have a little bit of inflation in the last couple of years, but over the last basically going on 30 years now, it's been nothing. So, yeah, we can have, you know who else had low inflation? The United States during the Great Depression. Low inflation. Okay. I mean, so Japan actually had low inflation. And so some guys argue me, yeah, but the EU has a lower debt to GDP ratio. I said, ooh, interesting. I did not know that. I did because I'm not stupid. The GDP ratio is what determines inflation. I haven't seen what he's going to respond back to. Hope he's not watching this video because the trap is so easy to set for these people because they never heard the other side of the story. Kind of like a lot of Christians who don't know their book. The reason a lot of Christians leave Christianity, they've never read their book. They just never thought about it. They haven't needed to because we've been on the dominant religion. We just go to church if we even do. We say Jesus is God. Okay, based on what? Well, based on the Bible. Oh, okay. They'll say, oh, freaking, what do they say? Like, oh, pray for Israel or else it can come back and haunt us. Like, oh, where does it say that? All this stuff. You see what I'm saying? So all these things, you're like, okay. And so when people challenge them, especially a Muslim who's pretty aggressive, who seems like he's smart, because a lot of these Muslims who are preaching their own, remember, Jews don't prophesize. So we don't have to worry about Jews. Now, Jews, what they'll do is they'll pick apart this is where Jews are good. They'll pick apart your deficiencies because a lot of us Christians have a lot of deficiencies. Trust me, I know that. And so Jews are very good at picking apart, but they're not going to prophesize for you to convert because they don't do that. Muslims, on the other hand, do, and they're aggressive. And as such, a lot of Christians who have never had to have their faith challenged at all, they'll hear this aggressive Muslim who sounds like he knows more. And it's like, oh man, I guess you might be onto something. The next thing you know, he might not convert to Islam, but he's certainly kind of back, like Homer, backing up into the weeds saying, I'm not so sure. And then he goes to college and he gets some clown like freaking, what's that guy's name? Lawrence Krauss up there. You know what I'm saying? These freaking idiot atheists. Or what's the other guy's name is? The Sam Harris guy. He's a rich boy, Sam Harris. By the way, Jon Stewart, that clown, he's another rich guy. Anyway, these guys will freaking destroy their faith because the Christians have never had to, they never had to strengthen their faith. Remember, being strong is you have resistance and it makes you stronger. And if you have no resistance, you become weak and you become freaking sitting in your basement picking your nose with no girl, like pulverizer. All right. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to strengthen it by having you get challenged. And these monetarist economists, because of the Chicago Boys School has been the dominant economic theory for, since 1970s now, if not even longer. They've never been challenged. So they just think, because everyone just kisses their ass. You're right, Steve Hanke, you're right. Monetary supply dictates inflation. Debt to GDP dictates inflation. And then when some guy like me in my Washington Bullets t-shirt with no freaking master's degree or never mind a PhD in economics, they're like, wait a second. And I say, wait, that doesn't make sense. Have you actually read your own? Do you know your own stuff? Have you? Because it doesn't sound like you do. Well, no, debt to GDP is inflationary. Okay, we'll explain Japan. And there's always going to be an out. Well, Japan's different. Okay, then if Japan's different, but they have a high debt to GDP, which they've had for 15 years, inherently means that the GDP doesn't cause inflation. And then they'll say stuff like, oh, but the Japanese culture is different. And I'm reading this book right now. We're talking 100 years ago, a lot of Americans or Brits, they thought Japanese were very shifty, very lazy, very independent. That's what they're saying about the Japanese before World War II, by the way. Yeah, they're like, man, it's just as funny, man, how the cultural changes. Like Germans were considered not very thrifty, but thieving. Isn't that interesting? Germans, of all people, very thieving. And there was German time. They showed up when they wanted to show up, and now we don't think about that with the Japanese or Germans at all. It's kind of fun. I was laughing because, like, man, the idea of Japanese and Germans being shifty, not adherent to time, thieving, lazy. No one's going to say that about Japanese or Germans now, or being independent for the Japanese, because we think Japanese just do what they're told orderly. It's just kind of funny. Anyway, the Japanese office drones work like dogs. Never understood why the left was accepting that of Islam, which is basically goes against everything they stand for. Well, Muslims are smart. They see the path of least resistance, and they say the path of least resistance is these idiot leftists. And then what they do is they capture them in terms of saying, "Oh, we're with you, and then they slowly take over. Next thing you know, they're freaking in Dearborn, Michigan, getting rid of trans flags. Kind of funny in a way. Kind of funny. I mean, I'll take a freaking conservative Muslim any day of the week over some radical atheist. That's a fact. I laugh though. I laugh at it. It's pretty funny. I say, oh, so now the Muslims take over Dearborn, Michigan. They get rid of the trans flags, and they're not keen on. Let's just put it this way: those freaking what the hell was it? School library. The trans people do this with little kids. Drag day for freaking little Jenny. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing that. I just find it very funny. The trans, they never go to nursing homes to do drag day or whatever the hell it is. They always go to little children's places. And they never do it in Muslim communities. I always found that funny. But anyways, that's what happens. The Muslims say, okay, we're going to get an in here by being politically aligned against the United States. Works. And then slowly we'll win because the left doesn't have children. We do. And we're more aggressive. And the left doesn't want to be against the brown people, even though a lot of these Muslims are actually white. And as such, we win, and eventually we'll show them the door. I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, 100%. UK is a freaking cluster fark. All right. So the last thing I want to do here is we talked about this. So here's when we should do Roth conversion. Again, this is for people who are retired. All right. Now, this is when I think you should do it. And a lot of times, if you have a pension, it's going to be tough to do Roth conversions because a lot of times a pension will put you at the top of the 10 or 12% tax bracket already. And so Roth conversions really aren't going to be all that beneficial unless what we're going to show you now. By the way, I could care less about the Olympics. I will watch the Olympic hockey. But other than that, the last thing I need to see is some freaking leftist, Californian snowboarders, and I could care less about freaking Lindsey Vonn. I don't know why. I mean, I know she's somewhat cute and she's blonde and whatnot, but people we're just watching. I say, Lindsey Vonn? Who cares? All right, so again, we're gonna go to the 10, the 12, and the 22 bracket here. 12 and 10. All right, so here's when I think you should do Roth conversion. All right, so we're married filing jointly. All right, and we're going to be, right around here, maybe a little bit up, maybe a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down. All right, we're going to go along there, and then you hit 75, and you're right here. And I don't even care where it's at. You're just right in here. Everybody can see that? Come on, Josh. You love the figure skating. I'm not a big fan. The men figure skating, no. Some of the chicks look good. The Asian chicks look good, that's for sure. But not a big fan. Actually, it's funny. When I was in the Army, I had this good friend of mine. He's a pretty big right-wing skinhead, and he loved figure skating. He loved it. I was like, you like this stuff? Even the dudes. He wasn't gay, trust me. I was like, "You like this?" He goes, "I love it." I said, he was from New Hampshire, of course. And I was like, "Weird, man," because I didn't like it at all. I thought it was boring, and the chicks look good, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hell, it doesn't. There's tons of good looking chicks you can watch. Just go to a volleyball game. Um, is Mr. Scanlon is Miss Scanlon's best. Yeah, right on. But it's just funny because he'd always like watching. I said, "This is weird, man." So let's watch hockey. I want to watch the figure skating. Women lift the meth. Oh my! Women lift the men in figure skating now. 100%. White women lift. Oh, do they do? They do, man. The awfuls. Affluent white female liberals. Oh, they're the worst. Yeah, Steve Hanky Pank is a joke. 100%. Raymond and David Wood do a match. Oh, okay. Not familiar with those guys. Abraham. I don't hate this whole thing. I don't hate Jews. I hate Muslims. I don't care. But I think at the end of the day, the Christians. And I just listened on my video. Oh God, we have so many idiots in our faith. Like Russell. Like I'm Catholic. All right, so the Catholic Church was obviously corrupted for many, many, many years with the pedos, the gay priest, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. But even more than that, we had liberation theology comes from Catholic Jesuits. All right. That's the beginning of critical race theory. All right. It's just this freaking insane. So we got tons of Marxists dressed up as Catholic priests. Horrible. And then I see Russell Moore, he used to be the president or whatever it is, the Southern Baptist Convention. He's just a big lib. I see John Piper. I used to listen to John Piper, just another big lib. They used to have Tim Keller in New York City. I think he's dead now. R.I.P. Tim Keller, just a big lib. I'm just like, it's weird, man, because I'm not saying Jesus is Republican, not in the least, but this whole thing, like Jesus was just some hippie. It's crazy to me, man. Yeah, Jesus just wanted you to be nice and get along. No, it just wasn't. And look, I'm a sinner. I'm in violation of Jesus every single day, unequivocally. But that doesn't mean we just pretend like Jesus wasn't commanding us to get away from sin. And some of these guys just like, yeah, you can sin. Just forgive you. I was like, what? Oh, I posted a meme the other day. These idiot Antifa guys in Minnesota get off. We're going to go to the churches. We're going to go to the churches. This is going to be great. We're going to take them over. And then Southern Baptist, they had a picture of that. Who's that Chris guy from Parks and Rec? You know what I'm talking about. He was in Jurassic Park. Chris, I don't know his last name off the top of my head. But he had like a rifle. He's like, it's so funny, man. Right here. My Filipino fiance works as an accounting contractor for U.S. companies. 100%. It's the wrong freaking answer. Wrong answer. I don't blame her. It's the wrong answer, dude. And her job will be gone shortly too when AI takes over accounting. This is what's happening. We're outsourcing accounting jobs. Hell, financial planners are being outsourced to India. It's freaking this. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I hate it. Yeah, the EU is getting rolled by the Chinese because CCP is done with cheap goods. 100%. Yeah. This is free trade. It's dumping. It's called dumping laws, and they're supposed to have anti-dumping laws so that doesn't happen, so they don't get monopolized. But the EU is so freaking got over the barrel. They can't go to Russia. He was a Marxist, flipping those lenders to it. Right, exactly. He's a Marxist. I mean, might well been. I don't think Jesus was political. I think Jesus was beyond that. He's not Republican. He's certainly not Democrat. But he's certainly not saying just, freaking love each other and get jiggy with each other anytime you want and have an abortion and none of that. None of that. Now, he was saying give, and I do know, well, more Republicans give than Democrats do. I don't think anyone would deny that. The question, because more basically the Democrats are by and large they're an atheist, if not agnostic party now. I mean, there's some Catholics still, there's some Christians, I grant you, but generally speaking, the Democratic Party has gone full lock, stock, and anti-Christian barrel. No other way around that. And generally speaking, the Christians are the biggest givers there are, unequivocally. But a lot of Republicans, my own self included, aren't doing enough either. That's just a fact. I'm sure Jesus up there, well, God certainly sitting there saying, dude, to whom much is given, much is expected. What have you done with what I've given you? And if you keep saying, well, God, I went out to eat, I bought new shoes, like I do. I just bought these new shoes. I just went out to, well, I didn't go out to eat tonight, but last night we did. I had leftovers. God's like, dude, I didn't give you that for you to spend on yourself. I give it to you to spread the word to my people. And when my people are starving and you're filling your fat face with, going out to freaking get a baconator or whatever the hell's called. I didn't get that just for Liam. That's not what I intended to do. Now, I don't think God's up there saying, I'm counting the baconators you ate. I'm just thinking he's saying, no, man, that's spending what I've given you. That's not the parable of the talents by any stretch of imagination. Making freaking, was it Matt? Is it Matthew 22:18, the Great Commission? What's Great Commission? 22:18? Freaking, you were super late the other night too. How dare you? Just back from the dinner out. Are you guys freezing up there, Ted? Rising Savior Missions is a fine charity to donate to. I'm not familiar with it. Good. I'll give them a shout out here. Risen Savior. Is it Matthew 22:18 as a Great Commission, or 20? I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't have my phone here to look it up. Someone tell me. But anyway, so at the end of the parable of the talents, 17 degrees obviously is, we can't just hide it under a bushel. We're supposed to invest it. It doesn't mean invest it with the bankers necessarily. It certainly means investing in human beings and God's people, and make adherents out of all people. Anyway, just someone to look up the Great Commission, and I think it's Matthew 22:18. I could be wrong there, but I know it's Matthew. I'm almost positive it's Matthew 22. So we'll see. All right. So going back to this, while someone is looking it up, I guess I'm frozen here. We thought one of you guys could have got that quicker. Okay. Guess no one wants to help me out here. No one has a purple crown. No one has a purple crown. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No one has it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here we got a guy who's along 28:16. Oh, there you go, Andrew. 28:16 to 20. Interesting. All right. 28:16 to 20. That's a Great Commission. So you should know that. Quit listening 2 hours ago. It's Matthew 28:16 through 20, the Great Commission. Read the whole, not just read a couple sentences above where it says, make adherents of all people. I can't quote off the top of my head. But anyway, read a couple of sentences above that. Very interesting. 28:16 to 20. All right. What was I getting ready to say? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and hold us people with a purple crown to a higher standard. Yeah. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and we love your passion. John, that's right, Ted. What's Exodus 20? It's your quick quiz. Exodus 20, go. A couple of you guys get Exodus 20. Kind of important. That's why people are looking up Exodus 20. All right, so here's riding here. Then he hits 75, and all of a sudden, he's got RMDs kicking in. All right. Yeah, I don't, down with the Mark, comment for the common people. I guess purple crown are people who just yap. Woo! All right. So RMDs kick in. So now he's no longer riding. Now he's just kind of like up this. And then he dies. And then his wife is up around here. Well, in my opinion, yap. 10 Commandments. That's right, Andrew. Exodus 20, 10 Commandments. Got to know it. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, 4 Gospels. Exodus 20, 10 Commandments. It's got pictures texted to me of one dog named, oh my goodness, spin again. Oh, watching the TV. Yeah, you'll never crown John. You're not king, mate. You're not a king. So here we probably should do some Roth conversions, all right? And again, assuming ACA is on issue here for whatever reason, assuming ACA, but basically we'd want to do some Roth conversions to reduce this and bring this up. So it fill this up to the top of the 12% bracket, and this will reduce this to some regard. And even if it doesn't, even if it keeps her in the 22% bracket, if she's right here, I mean, who cares? You just live it over it. So that would be the time to do Roth conversions here. And I don't happen to come across this much, other than if people are living on like brokerage money right here. This is one of the benefits of having 3 different types of accounts. Brokerage, bank accounts, IRA, and Roth. Because if you have those 3 type of accounts, you have more management. Chiweenie teeth. Oh man, we had half our Chiweenie teeth pulled a couple weeks ago. Yeah, okay, that's what's happening to me too. Our RMDs, because it puts people in a higher tax bracket. It doesn't have to be that. The IRS just wants more money. They want the money now. But anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, so when we have these things, we can live off the brokerage here, right? Or we can live off the IRA here, leave the brokerage to the kids tax free because a step up in basis, and not touch the Roth. So this is what it just gives us more options. Right here, we could do Roth conversions while we're living off the brokerage, or even just not even do that, just live off the IRA. And that will put us in a higher bracket. A lot's going on there, but there is some opportunity to do Roth conversions. I don't want to come across like there's not. There's a lot of opportunity to do it. But I think a lot of people will make the mistake of they're right at the 12% tax bracket, and they want to start doing Roth conversions. And I said, it's going to cost you 22%. If it costs you 22% today to save 22% in the future, why would you do that? Why would you say, I'm going to pay 22% now to save 22%? I mean, again, there's some reasons to do that. Like, leave it to the kids. I get all. But what I'm saying, we should definitely fill, if we have some white space here, it's still a couple $1,000 bucks, who cares? But, maybe got $20,000 before you hit the next tax bracket. Yeah, definitely fill up the bracket, man. No reason not to. I retired in my 40s, no regrets, lost 38 pounds already from biking. Wow. That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. Look at my man, Cal Ripken. Yeah, that's all I had. I'm going to retire early. I live mostly on brokerage funds and do Roth conversions, what I'm saying. Yeah, okay, good. Just type whatever stupid thing. Yeah, whatever said, man. And that's all I got, my friends. That's all I got. So thoughts, questions, comments, and we'll get you out of here because go watch. We're watching Tess of Uberville. You ever seen that show? So I'm reading my Silent Calvin Coolidge book, his biography by Amity Shlaes, and he talks about how one of Calvin Coolidge's professors introduced him to Hardy, who had written Tess of Uberville. I said, what the hell book is that? I never heard Thomas Hardy. So let me look it up. And so it's on a TV show, and I'm going to probably read that book. But if I retire, I'll probably have more than enough money that I'll just skip ACA subsidies unless I have enough cost basis. Yeah. Ooh, Caesar salad with steak tips. That does sound good. I won't have to go to church now. Can I send you an email? Yeah, 100%, man. By all means. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm all. People got stuff they want, ideas and stuff for videos or ideas for, stuff to look at. I'm all ears, dude. If you live in states that sell Farm Bureau health insurance, it may be way cheaper than ACA if you don't qualify for subsidies. But the 22% early on is on a lower amount than 22% later on. Yeah, but still the same dollars. I mean, still the 22% on $100,000 is still $22,000. The 22% on $200,000 is still be 22% on each $100,000. Right. So what you're saying is it rounds out to the exact same thing in terms of you did the Roth versus if now or later. It's gonna be, if you're both in a 22% tax bracket, it's gonna be the same thing. As such, what matters is why would you lose that money today to avoid losing that same money in the future when you might need that money later on, or you might be in a lower tax bracket. Or you could be in a higher tax bracket. Don't get me wrong. Exactly what I'm saying. 100%. Tax arbitrage is based on a percentage. 22 on today, 22 in the future. It's all the same. 100%. All right. Well, I can get out of here, my friends. Royal River Grill House in Yarmouth, Maine. As long as they didn't have an anti-ice sign up there, because there were some restaurants in Maine with their stupid anti-ice signs. And I'm a fan of ice, so more power. Let's pray for our members of ICE. Heavenly Father, we just pray for the American heroes who are trying to get our country safe and secure for innocent Americans. Look out for them. We pray for those people who are ignorant about what ICE is trying to do out there. We pray for President Trump to keep his strength to support this country and to rebuild it for the future, because we are facing some tough times, some dark times, Heavenly Father. We just know that you are with us at all times, but we always turn to you. We just pray for peace on this world, and we pray for America. We pray in Jesus' name, amen. Again, I don't think God is up there like America first, but I think God says, look, dude, I granted you a shining city on the hill. Don't ruin it. I absolutely think God says that. I gave it to you to be the beacon of light for all those around the world, man. As a Christian nation, not as an atheistic, multicultural nation. It's crazy it's crazy. No one else is called on to be multicultural. No one's going to freaking Zimbabwe and say, you guys need to be multicultural, the Portuguese or the Chinese. You know, the Chinese are probably going down there taking over Indians. No one's saying we need affirmative action for those people, but yet for some reason it's crazy. Anyway, go out. Yeah, 100%, man. You got, but they won't. This is where we know. This is why I know this is kind of a joke. Until you go after the employers and make it hurt. I think we talked about this last time, but it's like, if you don't go after the drug users, the war on drugs will never be won. Until you go after, it's the demand side. Until you go after the demand, you're always going to have the supply. This isn't difficult. The employers are cheating. This is what pisses me off. They're just employers trying to make a buck by cheating. It's no different than Barry Bonds and Mark freaking McGuire juicing up. It's no different than that. They're cheating, and we shouldn't award people for cheating. I don't care if they're giving you campaign money or not. The reason they're hiring illegals is to pay less money. A lot of times it's less in wages and less in FICA taxes. And if you're cheating, that's not the American way, which means the people who aren't cheating have less of an advantage. It's no different than a guy who hires a freaking cheap landscaper versus a guy who hires an American. Why is the landscaper cheap? Because he's hiring illegals. Why is the American landscaper more expensive? Because he's hiring Americans. He's got to pay freaking unemployment insurance. He's got to pay FICA taxes. He's got to pay. He doesn't have to pay health insurance, but he's got to pay other, risk in terms of the risks that he faces on that guy's labor. Barry Bonds is not the GOAT. All right, I'm gonna get out of here, man. All right, God bless. We'll see you guys. Thanks again for being here. God bless.